Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we're answering a little fruit salad of questions. I did a Ask Me Anything on Instagram, got some good questions and thought I should bring them on over. So if you have any questions that you want for a future episode, either follow me on Instagram because I ask pretty frequently, send me a DM with your question or comment below if you're watching on YouTube. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Should you wait 3 months post-pill before going all in? So this question is basically, should I wait out the recommended 3-month waiting period after going off the pill before I freak out that I have HA, take on like the rather intense all-in method? And it's entirely up to you. So on one hand, if you've gone off the pill to get pregnant, it's only going to help you to make sure you're just not putting your body through any more strain than it needs to be going through. If you have a hunch that you have HA, like you went off the pill and you have dieted a lot, you've had a lot of weight loss, you exercise a lot, it's a good chance, it's probably smart to up your food intake. But I am, curious, not a lot of people know about HA immediately going off the pill. So if you are generally not working out excessively, generally not dieting too much, and you're just, confused why you didn't get your period back straight away, your hormones can take a little bit of time to figure themselves out, and that could be all that it is. But yeah, it just depends. It just depends. If you want your period back right now, it's really not going to hurt to increase your food intake and reduce exercise. If you want to wait and see the 3 months, there's no one judging you for that. Question number 2 was, how soon do I need to have breakfast after waking? You guys have probably heard me talk about this a million times. It's actually really important. It's surprisingly very important. Waking up, having breakfast is breaking the fast. When we're in HA recovery, we just don't want to be fasting. There are some girls who are at a stage of their recovery where they're so hungry, they're waking up in the middle of the night to eat. Yes, get up, beeline for the kitchen, make some breakfast as early as you possibly can. This is really important. Cortisol rises early in the morning. It's the stress hormone spikes, and that's what wakes us up naturally. And then in the evenings, it naturally decreases, which is what allows us to get sleepy and go to bed. Cortisol also spikes when we're in a deficit and we're hungry and we're underfueled, which explains, side note, a little bit why sometimes we actually feel really good when we have HA, because that cortisol spike can actually feel really good. But the truth is it's a stress response, and that's what we're really trying to mitigate here. So it's not necessarily just that you're in a calorie deficit that we want to be breaking the fast, but also because we want to be reducing your stress response. Eat breakfast early. Is eating adequate amounts but having gaps between food really detrimental? So just like we were explaining in the last answer, we don't want to be putting ourselves in a fast for too long. So when this person says having gaps in between meals, I'm going to assume they're talking about basically being in micro deficits. Maybe they mean they're just not a snacker, so they would rather have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not have snacks in between. Maybe they mean they want to intermittent fast and not eat anything until lunchtime. A micro deficit can be detrimental. Most likely, no one would recommend it for anyone. Right now, you're trying to address a problem that stems from an energy deficit of some kind. So allowing yourself intentionally to be in a food deficit, this is low-hanging fruit, and this is just not something that we should be letting happen on our watch. So snacks in between meals where possible. If you're not a snacker, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't much of a snacker during recovery. Those big meals is gonna be where it's at, but make sure you're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like we said before, having breakfast first thing in the morning. And for many people, it's very, very beneficial to have a snacker before going to bed as well. So, and don't skip dessert. Now is the time for dessert. Stuck in quasi recovery because normal BMI 22 and 1 hour a day of exercise 7 days a week. So it's not really a question, but I can tell that the question is, I'm really struggling to take the steps that I need to take to get out of HA because I struggle with the fact that I don't feel like I fit the bill. I only exercise for 1 hour every day and I have a normal BMI of 22. So I love this. Let's break each one down just a little bit. 22 BMI is just not that big, especially for a girl. It's just not that big a number. Yeah. And it really depends, right? Like, well, I don't know, how did you lose weight to get down to 22? It's not so much always about what your body fat percentage is. It can sometimes be the journey that you took to get to the body fat percentage that you are. Someone starting at any starting body weight could lose as little as 5 to 10 pounds and see their period go away. It's not always about the body fat percentage. It can be about what your body's gone through at the percentage that you have it at now. So I really wouldn't look too much at this number, and I kind of hate that it's a metric, but I think that we hold on so tightly to a number for something. We really just need to be able to measure like a body fat percentage. What was the average weight loss? How long did it take you to get your period back? How much weight did you have to gain? Like, I get it, it's helpful to have these numbers, but I mean, they're all just numbers and averages, and you're not an average, you're an individual. And then the 1 hour a day exercise, I'm not sure if you're saying that because you feel like that's super reasonable. I get it. Most fitness classes, like one fitness class a day is 1 hour. But when you really think about it, there's usually a warm-up process and a cool-down process. And 1 hour is a lot of exercise. If you're doing a 30-minute run, that's a lot of exercise. So it really depends what you're doing here. But if you have HA and you're exercising one hour every single day, that's just not helping you. And so you shouldn't necessarily be in this quasi recovery or any kind of denial that this is not the path for you. Reducing your exercise is going to be really important. And if that's hard for you to do, which I understand, for so many people it's a challenge, then I recommend you try and reduce that to 45 minutes and then 30 minutes and then 20, and take that 7 days a week down to 6 and to 5. And if you need to go slow, you can. I'm not in the business of making anyone feel bad for the path that they need to take to get to where they need to go. No. But a BMI of 22, exercising 1 hour every single day is not a recipe for recovery. Oh, and this person had sent me a side message too, that they eat 2,500 calories. And also remember, this is just a metric that was given by the average amount of calories that women in studies said they needed to get their period back. Yes, this is great, but you're an individual and it's the minimum. 2,500 calories is the minimum recommended for someone who is following protocol where they have no period and they're now not working out and they're not exercising. So if you are exercising, your minimum needs to be significantly higher than 2,500 calories. Like, you need to be bumping that up. Sometimes I think that the 2,500 calorie thing, I get that it's super helpful for a lot of people to have that number and that permission to hit that number, but everything has its pros and cons. And putting the number 2,500 out there has made it really difficult for people who struggled once to eat past a certain amount of calories. Now they struggle to eat past 2,500, and they really shouldn't. This is just a number based on self-reported data. Remember, the self-reported data is really quite useless. So if the majority of people said in a study they reported that they ate 2,500 calories, they probably didn't. Probably ate 2,800, 3,000. People are so bad at self-reporting that, many of us look at any self-reported study and we just don't. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're stuck making progress towards getting your period back because you feel like you don't fit the mold, or you think that you're not doing enough exercise or restricting food enough that you should have lost your period, I really challenge that. Like, really lay it out in front of you and say, how much exercise am I actually doing? Because I think a part of the reason that we think that working out for only 1 hour, 7 days a week is totally fine is because society has absolutely led you to believe that it is. Training programs go for 1 hour. Exercise classes, they go for an hour. People who work out every single day, that is so very glorified. That's just, it's ridiculous, the very high expectations that have been put on the average person to maintain this regime. You know, people in ye olden days were active. They weren't exercising hardcore every day. And now we're at a place where we're exercising hardcore every day. So look, there's a difference between being active every day and going to actively exercise every single day. So if you can instead start gardening, walking your dog, doing, I don't know, stuff around the house, like that is what we talk about, an active lifestyle versus the very common sedentary lifestyle that people have now, where they sit in front of a computer all day long. That is where the recommendation for daily exercise comes in. Where are you taking that a step further? Maybe you need to take that a step back. Okay, I rambled on about that. Turns out I had a lot to say on it. Yeah, last question. What to do with short luteal phases 5 days after having had HA? So a 5-day luteal phase is super short. We definitely need to lengthen that. The minimum that your luteal phase should be is 10 days. Ideally, it's a little bit more, but I do know plenty of girls who got successfully pregnant on a 10-day luteal phase, so we're going to go with 10 days. And it's pretty common post-HA. Now, a short luteal phase is also very common post-HA. I had that problem. I had 6, 7, 8-day luteal phases, and the fix really is to go back to what was working for your HA. So often we get our period back, we're super happy about it, and it becomes less of a prominent issue in our life, right? When you first go through HA, you're like absorbing all this information, you fully binge the HA podcast, you watch everything under the sun, you read the books that are available, and you're just super focused. Then you get your period back. Life becomes a little bit more normal, especially after you've had a few of them. This is less of a prominent issue in your life, and things that you used to be diligent about in order to get your period back are now gone. Like eating breakfast first thing in the morning, like making sure you eat enough at meals or having snacks between meals. Maybe you're back at the gym and now maybe you're like running late and in the habit of not eating as much or at all before you go to the gym. If you're seeing short luteal phases, especially after HA, it's time to look at like where might your routine be accidentally sneaking back into old habits that aren't helping you. This is huge. So make sure that you're not drinking coffee before you work out. Make sure that you're still eating breakfast as early as possible in the morning. You're not skipping meals. You're not choosing low-calorie food items again. You're bulking up your meals with healthy fats. All of that stuff, all of the fundamentals, just go back to basics. So many of our answers around recovery and what to do, like troubleshooting your periods post-recovery, a lot of it comes down to going back to the basics. So, okay guys, that is it for this video. That was super fun for me. If you have another question that you want answered, please submit it, let me know. And before we head out, I want you to know about the 7-day recovery commitment challenge. So for a while now, I've had this 7-day recovery commitment challenge. It's all by email and you just sign up and get it for free. But I have fully expanded it, and now on April 27th, we're going to have a fully live version of this. So on April 27th, a bunch of us are going to commit to recovery together. Every day for 7 days, I'm going to get on a Zoom call with you, and we're gonna go through all of the steps. You get a whole bunch of information each single day on all of the different fundamentals for making the decision and the commitment to recovery. There's homework, just some writing exercises to do beforehand, and then we hop on a call together and we go through some of the material and we dive a lot deeper into it. So it's a really cool, super fun challenge. It's the first challenge I've ever done. It's the first challenge I've ever hosted, so I'm really excited about it. I've already built out all of the material way in advance. So I really hope that you'll join us. If you want to, just go to 7daychallenge.thehasociety.com, or the link will be below. Register for the challenge, mark your calendars for all of the 7 days of live calls, and I will see you on the Zoom. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, guys. If you liked it, please thumbs it up, all of that stuff. It helps other women with HA find this content a little bit easier. And I'll see you guys next time.